There was a 22-year-old named Jordan Hayes who had everything going for her, except the ability to pull the trigger on anything. She grew up in a mid-sized town in Ohio, the kind of place where Friday nights meant high school football and everyone knew your name at the diner on Main Street. Jordan was sharp. Her teachers said so. Her parents said so. Her SAT scores said so. But somewhere between being the girl with all the potential and becoming the woman who actually did something with it, Jordan had gotten stuck. Every decision felt like standing at the edge of a diving board she wasn't sure would hold. Should she apply to the graduate program at Ohio State, or was she just setting herself up to get rejected? Should she take the marketing job offer in Columbus, or hold out for something better in Chicago? Should she finally tell her best friend that the business idea they'd been talking about for 2 years was worth actually trying? She'd think it through from every angle, make a pros and cons list, read 3 articles about it, ask 4 people for advice, and then do nothing. Let the deadline pass. Watch the moment close like a door. Her older brother called it analysis paralysis. Her mom thought she was just being careful, but Jordan knew the truth. She was flat out scared of making the wrong call, so she made no call at all. By 22, she had a drawer full of half-filled applications, an email draft she never sent, and the quiet, heavy feeling that life was happening just slightly to the left of where she was standing. One weekend, she drove out to her Uncle Pete's property in rural Kentucky, one of those trips she took when she needed to breathe. Pete was 68, retired, and spent most of his mornings fly fishing on the creek that ran behind his land. He'd fished that water since he was a kid and moved through the world like a man who had stopped arguing with it years ago. Jordan sat on the porch watching him wade into the creek, his line cutting clean arcs through the morning air. After a while, he waved her over. She took off her shoes and stepped in. The water was cold and clear. "Here," Pete said, handing her a rod. "Let's see what you've got." Jordan looked out at the creek, the riffles, the slow pools, the shadows under the overhanging trees. "Where do I cast?" she asked. "Where do you think the fish are?" She hesitated. "I don't know. Under the bank over there, maybe. Or in that deeper pool." "Could be," Pete said. "Could be somewhere else entirely. What are you waiting for?" "I just don't want to cast in the wrong spot and spook them." Pete glanced at her sideways. "And if you never cast?" She didn't have an answer for that. "Go on," he said. She cast toward the shaded bank, too short. The fly landed in the middle of the current and dragged badly. She reeled it in, a little embarrassed. "Good," Pete said. "I missed." "You cast, that's different from missing. You can't miss until you cast." He pointed slightly upstream. "Try again, a little more to the left, let it drift naturally." She tried again, better this time. They stood there for the better part of an hour. She caught 1 small brown trout and lost 2 others at the line. Pete caught 3 without seeming to try hard at all. Walking back toward the house, boots in hand, Pete spoke without turning to look at her. "You know, I fished this creek for the first time when I was 9 years old. Didn't know where the fish were then. Still don't, not for certain. Every single morning I make my best read of the water and I cast. Some mornings I'm wrong, some mornings I'm right, but I have never once caught a fish from the porch." Jordan was quiet. "Your generation has this idea," Pete continued, sitting down on the steps and pulling on his boots, "that if you think about something long enough, you'll figure out the right answer before you have to risk anything. But that's not how it works, sweetheart. In fishing and in life, you get information by casting. The water tells you things the bank never will." Jordan sat beside him. The sun was burning off the last of the morning mist. "What if I make the wrong choice?" she asked. It was the question she'd been asking herself for years. Pete looked at her plainly. "Then you learn something and you cast again. That's the whole game. The only real mistake is standing on the bank so long that you forget you're holding a rod." Something broke loose in Jordan that morning. Not dramatically, not like the movies, more like a knot in her chest that had been there so long she'd stopped noticing it, quietly loosening. On the drive home, she called the graduate program coordinator and asked if the deadline had passed. It hadn't. She applied that night, imperfectly, with 2 hours to spare. She didn't get in on the first try. But she asked for feedback, improved her application, and got in the following year. She moved to Columbus. She started the business with her best friend. Some things worked. Some things didn't. She kept casting. At 27, she stood at the front of a room of college juniors as a guest speaker for a business class. A kid in the back raised his hand and asked the question she used to ask herself every single day. How do you know when it's the right time to make a move? Jordan smiled. She thought about a cold creek in Kentucky, and a morning she almost stayed on the porch. You don't, she said. Not really. But here's what I know. The people who are out there doing things aren't less scared than you. They've just made peace with the fact that you only learn where the fish are by getting in the water. She paused. So get in the water.